Hello everybody. Today I have a dream to share. It was honestly very powerful and it helped me personally. So I just pray that it helps somebody else too. And so pretty much this dream, I'm just going to read it and then I will just let it flow, whatever else is meant to be shared. But I had a dream I was at a beach and led to go by the water. I thought, what if my husband's footprints are there? The closer I got to the footprints, the more I realized, what if God is my husband? What if these are his footprints? As I saw how big they were, I knew it was God leading me. I put my feet in his footprints, and part of me was fearful. When the footprints started to get to the water, I was fearful. I closed my eyes and I didn't want to sink. I looked to the left and right, but God reminded me to keep moving forward with him. There was a glacier I was trying to get to. That's where the footprints ended. As my eyes were closed, I was struggling to get in the glacier. I kept falling. Then my niece was with me and she was waiting on the glacier with me. God was giving me peace that he does have a future husband for me, but it's his plan and not mine. I can trust his plan and that he will lead me to it. I will not miss what God has for me. So there were so many details in this dream. So I hope that made sense, but I'm gonna just reiterate it a little bit better. So pretty much I knew there were footprints on this beach. I was on the sand part of the beach, and to my right, I saw all the water, but there was that distance I had to travel still to get to the water. And so I had that split-second thought, like, what if these footprints are gonna lead me to my husband? Like, what if my husband is at the end of these footprints, right? And, you know, in my personal life, this is something I've been wrestling with. Honestly, I will just testify, like, I was 16 years old when I asked the Lord for a dream of who my future husband is. And, you know, there's been a lot that's happened in my life since then. And honestly, there's that part of myself that's like, did the Lord really show me that? And I've just been starting to doubt, like, what if my future husband isn't this person from the dream? What if he's somebody else? How would I recognize who he is? And just like surrounded in confusion, surrounded in doubts and worries. And so in this dream, like I had that thought, like, what if these footprints are going to show me who he is? Like, what if I'm going to see him? And then the more that I walked, the more I saw how big the footprints were. I saw how deep they went into the ground. And I knew these were not a person's footprints. This was God's footprints. And it reminded me that God is the one who is leading me in all areas of my life, but even future marriage. He's the one leading me. And so I can follow, you know, his lead. And in this dream, once I reached that glacier, it's like I was just waiting. But in between, when I was following those footsteps, it's like I felt fear because I didn't want to sink. I was starting to walk on the water on top of those footprints, but I closed my eyes and I just started to worry, and I started to even tear up a little bit and cry. And the Lord was speaking to me, don't you know that I am leading you? Don't you know that I am leading you in this area of your life? Like, that it's not my plans, but it's his plans. He was speaking all of these things to me as I was walking, as I was afraid, as I was doubting. And I'm telling you, I was like tearing up just hearing him speak. Like, he was like, it's my plans for you, not your plans for you. Just keep moving forward. Because I started to look to the left and the right, just like one of my favorite scriptures, Matthew 14, starting at verse 25, it says, now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, it is a ghost. And they cried out for fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, be of good cheer, it is I. Do not be afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. So he said, come. And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him, and said to him, O you of little faith, why did you doubt? That was verses 25 through 31. And I'm telling you, in this dream, I was starting to be fearful. I was following those footsteps to the glacier. And once I reached the glacier, I was just waiting and I didn't know what to do. But I'm telling you, in regards to future marriage, if you're watching this, God has a plan for you. He has a plan for your future marriage. He has a plan. And I'm telling you, in my personal life, like I said, I was starting to wrestle with that. Like, do I hold on to this promise or do I let it go? Because in my personal life, even, I'm like, Lord, is it even your will for me to be married? Like, I was wrestling with that, like, unsure, and like, I just didn't know anymore. I'm like, I don't want to idolize this, and I don't want to let it go if I'm not supposed to let it go. But, you know, in the dream, that's what I was starting to think, like, okay, is God, you know, the husband that I've been desiring this whole time? Is he the one that I am promised? Maybe I'm not promised an actual person on this earth. You know, maybe God is the one who just wants me to himself. I started to think that in the dream. But the more that I walked forward, the more God started to speak, not to worry about any of that, not to worry about who, not to worry about, you know, but he did promise me. He did promise that, you know, let me see if I wrote it down. He promised he did have a husband for me, but it's his plan. That's what he promised. And so many times, you know, you can get discouraged, you can get worried. And for me, this is the biggest area right now in my life that the enemy has been hitting me with worry. Like, you're getting older, you're still single. And, you know, honestly, it's silly stuff, but that doubt can creep up. And I've been in a season where I've just been worrying about future marriage, worrying about if the promise is even yes or no. And that dream just gave me such clarity and peace, and it's so simple. The steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord. You keep following the Lord, and he's going to lead you into the plans that he has for you. He knows the plans he has for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a future and a hope. If you're watching this and it's resonating with you, just pray to the Lord about it. Pray to him if this promise is for you too, because he will show you, and he's not a liar. And it's okay if there's a wait. And what I thought about too is that glaciers, they move. You know, I thought of the Titanic, and like, glaciers move. So I was waiting on a glacier. And I was even thinking about, should I go back to the shore? But I just stayed planted there. I stayed sitting there. And as long as we're waiting on the Lord, then he can move. If we're trying to do our own thing, if we're trying to lean on our own understanding, take matters in our own hands, go on a dating app, whatever, like, God can't move. If you're trying to take control, you're trying to figure out who your future husband is, who your future wife is, and it brings confusion and it brings chaos in your mind to try to understand things that God has not given you yet. You need to wait on the Lord and renew your strength and mount up with wings like eagles. You are promised that you will not walk and faint. You will not run and get weary. But those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. And that's something we don't like to wait. We don't like to be patient, but that's what God promises us when we wait. Then He can move when we wait on Him. But I just pray that this encourages somebody. I pray that this would resonate with somebody. Just trust in the Lord. That's really it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. That's how simple it is. Acknowledge God about this desire in your heart for marriage. Keep following Him. Keep following His lead on your life. And He's going to show you the way. He's the way to the blessings, the promises. We don't follow Him for the blessings, but He's not a liar, and it's going to overtake you as you obey Him, as you walk with Him, as you keep moving forward. The blessings are going to come upon you because it's a promise from God. So instead of idolizing it, instead of worrying about it, just trust Him and keep following Him. Keep your eyes on Him, and He is going to bring these things to pass in His timing, because it's His plan, it's His purpose. It's not your way or no way. It's His way. It's His plan, because you are a child of God, because you've decided to follow Him, because you've decided to give your life to Him. Now He can get the glory through relationships. He can get the glory through your businesses. He can get the glory through whatever you put your hand to, because you are following Him and acknowledging Him. So don't think it's a weakness to wait on the Lord. It's actually the strongest thing you can do, because it really shows that you trust Him if you're waiting on Him. It really shows that you have faith if you're waiting on Him and not trying to do your own thing. So I hope this encourages somebody. God is leading you. Just keep on following Him, and He is going to bring you to an expected end. In Jesus' name, amen.